You cut off.
How we didn't even talk about this topic because we were afraid.
A Black executive perspective.
We are coming to you live from the BEP studio for another thought-provoking episode of a Black Executive Perspective podcast, safe space where we discuss all matters regarding race, culture, and those uncomfortable topics people tend to avoid. I'm your host, Tony Tidbit.
And I'm your co-host, Chris P. Reed. And we're here live with you to tackle the real, raw, and often uncomfortable truths shaping our world. No fluff, no filters. Just the bold conversations on issues that matter, from power to politics to culture, corporate America. We are breaking it all down without holding anything back. So let's get into it today, and we're going to have a lively discussion with this audience.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, one of the things today, though, obviously, Chris and I are going to go through some stuff to share with you guys, something that broke the internet over the last couple of weeks. But more importantly, we want you guys to participate. So we really want to hear from you. We're going to provide our thoughts and, our commentary on what we see here. But yeah, our key here is to hear from you. We want to hear your thoughts. We want to make this as lively as possible. So, but before we jump into it, my brother, you down in Dallas. How's everything going down there?
Going good. The weather's good. It's nice and, it's hot, but it's supposed to be because it's Texas. And so we're just going to enjoy it while it lasts.
Okay. All right. And we got some cool weather up here in the Northeast. And, over the weekend, I took our daughter to college. So that was thank you, monumental moment. Right. And so we're excited. Maybe she might be in the dorm with her new schoolmates watching. I doubt it. But we could only wish, right? Maybe it's one
cool
day,
enough.
Right?
It's cool enough, man. It's
cool enough, right? Right. So it's all good though. But look, let's jump into it, my man. So what about 8-9 days ago? What's my girl's name? Amanda Sears. Right. Major comedian, influencer. She created a show. She was on Jubilee, right? So I don't know if everybody's familiar with Jubilee. I've, definitely watched it. I even used some of their stuff when I was in corporate. We were talking about, which because you've been a part of it a little bit, right? We broke down some stuff that they had on, which I really like their stuff. But she was on, and it was her versus 20 Black conservatives, right? And so it was a very lively discussion. There's some things that's going to come out of it that we want to talk about. But look, before we go deep into it, let's give everybody just a real quick little sense of her show.
Black culture is toxic. And let's get on the fact that there's no fathers in the
white
black
culture
home. Let's
stop,
talk about that.
Stop.
Who do
You're
we vote
talking
for?
to a radical, not a Democrat. The radical mind state simply is living opposite to our colonizers, which is an imperialist, capitalist mind state, and radical blacks do not believe that is any way for us to have liberation. Well, here's what you all keep doing. You keep interrupting me when I'm talking, and you don't want to hear the point that I'm going to make. And yet you want me to respect your point. And that's not how a debate works. If I show you respect, give me the respect back. Ooh, I knew I was going to be surrounded by ignorance, but damn, let's go. Greetings. I am Amanda Seals, widely known as a comedian, an actress, a disruptor, an annoying person on the internet who always tells the truth. And I am now an artistic intellectual who commits myself to making art that educates. And today, I am surrounded by 20 Black conservatives.
So, and again, I, if you haven't seen it, I would definitely dive in and check it out. It's actually right here on YouTube. So definitely check it out. It was very eye-opening. So before we dive in, because we want to share some of the stuff that we heard people say, and we want to give you our take on it. But let me just real quick, buddy, you saw the whole thing. Just overall, what's your thoughts on the format? Just tell us a little bit what you think.
So the format, I've seen a couple of these where they have these people mob action, one well-spoken individual or sought after, talking head, and they are coming at it from so many different angles. Obviously, if it's 20 on one, you got 20 karate styles against one, Bruce Lee. But the concept, I think, is illuminating and eye-opening because you get different points of view from different ages and sections of the population, so to speak, that all have a similar base ideology. I like that part. It does, like she said, art. It is art. And so if it's on TV, it's for TV, right? It's one of those situations where you got to be mindful that these are not Harvard Rhodes Scholars or people that represent the best of the best as it relates to the subject matter. These are people who have a passion for it and want to get on and represent their passion. So I find there's sometimes a fear for me, and what I love is that there's an opportunity for dialogue and discourse, because that's what we promote all day, every day. What I fear is that, and you know this, when somebody says something that aligns with somebody else's level of ignorance or vitriol or whatever, that person was the smartest person in the room. Everybody else was a dumbass. And because we are not monolithic, as we speak about, we're going to have different opinions. So this is not a referendum on how all Black Americans see America. It's just these 20 people talking about their perspective on this particular topic. So, I want to give that disclaimer from a BEP perspective to let, we not drink the Kool-Aid. We don't think that these folks this is the new, and she said the term radical, and I had a hard time separating that from militant. Because remember, it used to be the militant, I am a militant, but she said intellectual radical. So maybe that's the new, maybe that's the new militant. I don't know.
But to be fair, she does state, she's a Malcolm X. She's, so that is part militant, right? But regardless, whatever nomenclature she wants to use. And I give her a lot of credit for, sitting down and trying to have discourse. You're 100% right. You got to look at this. You can't look at this as like these are a bunch of intellectuals that are sitting around and at the same time though, but we have to be fair though too. These are everyday Americans, right? And these are opinions and thoughts that everyday people have, right? So we got to look at it from that lens. Number two, you 100% right. Sometimes there's a fear that, especially when it comes, because here's the thing. They've already created so many stereotypes and narratives of us, right? And we're always swimming upstream to overcome them. And then when you hear Black people, regurgitate some of these things, right? And then to your point, then somebody on the internet, I think it's got 3.5 million views or something of that nature. And then somebody else, see, to your point, that they're trying to make a point. See, they're saying it themselves, blah, 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 right? So that, but it is what it is today, to be fair. And some people are going to believe what they want to believe, regardless if they listen to that or they hear the facts, right? And so we want to try to give some facts here. So that's why we wanted to dive into it. But let's be fair, though, too. And I think the main key to your point is that, and I think this is the one thing that I'm glad that we're diving into this, because for some reason, I don't know what it is I don't want to say that, because they think that way about all different people of color, that, all Chinese people are all the same and all Asian people are all the same and all Hispanics and all Black people. And we're not. No group is a monolith. And you're definitely going to see that today. All right. So buckle your seat. You ready to dive into this, brother?
Let me say this though, Tony, because you often say, listen, I have my opinion, which is facts unto me, and how I see things and believe things based off what I've took time to educate myself on. But don't just take my word for it. Don't just believe me. Do your own research. Go out there.
Look it up.
There is no section of the population or group of people that have one consensus leader or mouthpiece or spokesperson. And one thing I don't want people to walk away, if they do go look at this, let's say you're a non-Black person, because we all know nobody speaks for all of us. Correct. But I think conveniently sometimes people will think because Amanda Seales got the main chair, she is the ambassador for Black thought. No, she is not the ambassador for Black thought, right?
Or all her answers are correct, right? She's the Oz, she's the wizard, and she's got all the right answers. And that's not true either, right? So that's the only reason, that's the only thing I don't like about the format, is because, it makes her seem like she's all knowing, she's omnipotent, she's all this. And I'm not knocking in terms of some of her responses, right? But that's the one thing I don't like about the format, because it comes across that she knows everything, right? And nobody knows everything. And everybody, outside of the fact, people can give their opinions and what the case may be. So I totally agree with that.
Got you. I just want to make sure we put that disclaimer so people don't think that's how because we try not to come across as that. And we open it up. Like I said, you guys can comment wherever you want to, however you want to, and we'll have that dialogue with you.
And here's the thing, though, and I'm going to say this too before we jump into this. Here's the thing: there's things that people say are true, okay, and so we got to be okay with that as well, right? It's just how they, the facts that they come to it, right? And so, but there's things that people you're going to hear. Okay, yep, there's an issue. There's no question. So we got to be open to that. But then it's how you get to the equation that really matters. All right. So you ready, buddy? Let's dive in. So here. Absolutely. Everybody, we're gonna play a couple of these clips. Just to be clear here, we're not gonna play her response, because at the end of the day, you can go on and watch her response. I don't want to get caught up in that, right? We're just gonna play what some other people have said to these questions, and then we're gonna provide our thoughts, and then we'd love to hear your thoughts as well. Okay, absolutely. Sound like a plan? All right.
My first claim is it is undeniable that reparations are just and necessary.
All right, reparations, fair, necessary. My question would be, who's going to get it? Why would they get it? And how long are we going to sit here focusing on trying to get reparations? It's been how many years since slavery? 150 years, 1865. Whenever there's a real thing that this country wants to do, they do it. Stop Asian hate. Okay, there's a problem with the Asian hate. Let's draft a bill, sign it, and it's done. Anything that needs to be done is done. With us, it's a carrot they dangle in front of us that they don't really want to do. And it's not going to help. We need education. Oh, it's not going to help. No, it's not. We need education. Getting a check from the government is not going to do that. And we need proper education. A lot of us go to these institutions where we're not really prepared, we're not really focused, and we don't get things that'll help us in the real world. So if you want to help Black people, a check from the government, from our tax dollars is going to get raised, because let's be clear, everybody in here is Black. We all American, we all got to pay taxes. It'll go to that. So I don't really see how this is going to help us at all.
Okay, bro. So let me hear your thoughts based on what my man said. All right.
No, I thought what he said was very well put, and it wasn't off base in the idea of, yes, it would be nice, but where is this coming from? Where is it coming from? And what is the ultimate plan here? The one thing I don't want to have as a dynamic, as a Black person, is to feel like I've been paid off. Right. And some people cool with that. They like, man, pay me off. But, the one thing is, I am of the belief, and this may be controversial for this platform, I'm of the belief that the attitude that I've been able to imbue in me over these last 40 some odd years might not go away. And the way that they treat me absolutely is not going. If they feel like they being conservative or non-sensitive white folks, if I get a check, and how much I got, everybody got the same check, however it plays out, right? I got a check. I got neighbors. They happen to be white folks. Now, he knows me and my wife got this check for, let's say, $53,000, right? So he knows we got $106,000 over here. And I don't know if the baby get a check. I don't know the math, Tony. Let's not get into that. Moral of the story is, he knows I got this money. He's scrutinizing if I'm keeping my lawn. Like he's giving him more opportunity, just like the athletes when they checks be published. He's having the opportunity to judge or scrutinize. I knew they were. Did you ever see Dave Chappelle episode where they gave people their reparations and they start buying trucks of cigarettes and they just put it all back into the economy? It was like KFC has hit an all-time high and all that. It was a lot of satire. But the moral of the story is, we talk about this all the time, and I hate to use this as an example because I have a family member, a close family member that's a professional athlete. But we talk about these young, impoverished, or underprivileged Black people who end up with a boatload of money, and that's not a boatload of money, but end up with, we see it every tax season, end up with little money, and soon after, a fool and his money soon will part ways. And I'm not calling Black folks fools. I'm saying without that financial education that the brother was talking about, and the things put in place to make sure that if this is what you said was going to put you on par with us, it's not, because we're too far behind. And that's my take on it, Tony. But I appreciate what he was saying, but he's asking real questions that don't necessarily have legitimate answers that everybody can live with. What say you?
Yeah. So I listen, bro. I think you're saying something totally different versus what he's saying. Okay. And wait a minute. And he is saying something similar to what you said. Okay. But here's the thing. We're looking at this the wrong way. Okay. So it don't matter what you do with the money. Okay. See that?
So you don't give a damn, huh?
No. So here's the thing though. So the reparations is about, trying to repair try to right a wrong. Okay. Let's just be fair here. Okay. So at the end of the day, the reparations don't have to be a check. It could be different ways, right? But it's to repair what has wrong based on what we've done in terms of slavery. We put you guys back 400 years. Okay. So at the end of the day, we want to do something to show that this was wrong. And we want to make it right. Now, no payment can make it right. 100,000, 50,000, 20,000, none of that, right? But at the end of the day, and that's the issue here. And see, that's the bigger issue, is that America has never, and see, this is the thing, they have never, ever acknowledged from a government standpoint that slavery was wrong. We made a mistake, right? That's see, to be honest, to be fair, man, had that been stated, and I'm not saying it just goes away, but you're on your way to reconciliation. When you sit back and you say, we made a mistake. Clinton was going to do it back in 96, 98, whatever, and they was going to fry him for doing it, right? So they've never, ever, ever admitted that there's a mistake, but they've done it for other groups who, to be fair, hasn't even scratched the surface of the things that was dealt with them versus what was dealt with African Americans in slavery. All right, so that's number one. All right, so here's the thing in terms of how it's done and this and that. We can get into that whole nother thing. Number two, what my man is saying. Number one, some of the stuff he's saying is not true. Okay, so we go to these institutions, but we're not ready for them. Well, look, let's just be clear. What's the fact here? The fact is African American women are, you tell me this, am I wrong? African American women are the what? They have the most college
education. Yep.
College education than any group.
That's correct.
Than any group. That is a fact. Look it up. That's not made up. Okay? So how can it be we not this, but we're this? Okay? So that's number one. That's not true. Okay. Now, are there issues in certain areas where public schooling is not up to par? But there's issues with that from tax bases, because really a lot of it, but whatever. So there's issues, but it's not a blanket issue. Okay. There's a lot of people, African-American people, who've gone to higher education. Let's be fair. We don't talk, but nobody talks about that. Okay. Nobody shows that. So that's number one. So some of this stuff, talking about what we gonna do, buddy, it doesn't matter. You're looking at it wrong. If something is, so here's the thing. Let me give everybody an example here. I was trying to wait to the end, but just so, because this question, everybody said, why are we talking about reparations and this and that? And you're going to hear a couple people say this, right? Well, blah, blah, blah. We got too many other things. But let me show you. So, because most people don't know history, let me show you what happened in 1998. Oh, hold on. Go ahead, buddy.
Do we have any comments before we go to that?
Yeah, we had my girl Tiffany. She said flat out that she would take that check. Okay. And then what she says here, and she said, let's talk about stolen property. Bruce Beach and more. California is at the forefront of fighting a wrong. Yeah. So, buddy, look, we can get all, and she's right? We can get all day into that, right? But here's the thing, though. Just so people are not crazy, like, why are they asking for this? And what is this? Well, let's look at history here first.
And distinguished guests, my fellow Americans, we gather here today to right a grave wrong. More than 40 years ago, shortly after the bombing of Pearl Harbor, 120,000 persons of Japanese ancestry living in the United States were forcibly removed from their homes and placed in makeshift internment camps. This action was taken without trial, without jury. It was based solely on race, for these 120,000 were Americans of Japanese descent. Yes, the nation was then at war, struggling for its survival, and it's not for us today to pass judgment upon those who may have made mistakes while engaged in that great struggle. Yet we must recognize that the internment of Japanese Americans was just that, a mistake. For throughout the war, Japanese Americans in the tens of thousands remained utterly loyal to the United States. Indeed, scores of Japanese Americans volunteered for our armed forces, many stepping forward in the internment camps themselves. The 442nd Regimental Combat Team, made up entirely of Japanese Americans, served with immense distinction to defend this nation, their nation. Yet back at home, the soldiers' families were being denied the very freedom for which so many of the soldiers themselves were laying down their lives. Some families lived in converted stables, others in hastily thrown together barracks. We were then moved to Heart Mountain, Wyoming, where our entire family lived in one small room of a rude tar paper barrack. Like so many tens of thousands of others, the members of the Moneta family lived in those conditions not for a matter of weeks or months, but for 3 long years. The legislation that I am about to sign provides for a restitution payment to each of the 60,000 survivors, surviving Japanese Americans, of the 120,000 who were relocated or detained. Yet no payment can make up for those lost years. So what is most important in this bill has less to do with property than with honor. For here we admit a wrong. Here we reaffirm our commitment as a nation to equal justice under the law.
So let's just be clear here. Take out the word Japanese and everything he said and put black people, put slaves in there. And he said that happened for 3 years. They lived in dungeons and then for 400 years. Black people, slavery. Okay, so they righted a wrong for the internment of the Japanese in World War II, which was wrong, right? And that was for 3 years, and paid them $20,000 each. 60,000 people got 20,000, and the descendants of the 120,000. Okay, let's be clear. But what was the key thing is that no payment can make up this wrong. So we're apologizing and with honor, okay, and equal justice of so Americans, so people who's watching this. When you hear black people or people talk about reparations for black people, this is where it comes from. Okay, so you were able to give reparations for the Japanese Americans. And again, I'm not knocking them, right? Because what was done to them was wrong. But when it comes to black Americans, what are you talking about? How would it work? You think Japanese Americans was ask that brother who was just talking, who, if he was Japanese, you think Japanese, well, what are we gonna spend money on? That check ain't gonna make no difference for me. And this and that. You see my point here? Okay. But the bigger point is that the president of the United States stood in front of the world and apologized. That has never happened when it comes to slavery. None of that, right? So that's the issue. And so, the brother and the other people that we see on this, they don't get it. Okay, and everything that they're talking about is, oh, this won't happen. What are we going to do here? What are we going to do there? Stop. Because at the end of the day, what it can be done, because you did it here, so it definitely can be. How did they find the descendants? 60,000 descendants. So they traced back who was who, and they took care of them. Now, let's be fair, too. We know why they took care of them. There's another reason why they took care of them. So I'm not going to get into that right now, right? But they still gave them reparations.
So the thing about it is, you get into a trick bag in this, Tony, in the fact that the numbers are astronomically larger for black folks in the Japanese.
It doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter. So hold that thought. Let's go to the next clip, but I want you to hold that thought. Let's go to the next clip.
Cool.
My name is Matt Nuclear.
Hello, Matt. Matt
sharing.
Nuclear?
Matt Nuclear, yes.
Matt Nuclear, give me a better handshake than that. Let's do it.
I appreciate having this conversation with a beautiful black woman like yourself. This is nice, beautiful arena here. I disagree that reparations are necessary. I think the most important thing that's necessary right now for the black community would be the stopping of violence, especially black on black violence. I don't see how reparations is going to solve anything. You can give everyone here like a $50,000 check, especially people that are in the streets who are committing violent crimes consistently. A $50,000 check, it's not going to fix anything. It's not going to increase the median household income in the next 10 years by 10% or 20%. For example, we have the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882. We prevented Chinese people from getting citizenship and even entering the country. We discriminated against them and basically put them under apartheid, even here in the United States. Yet they have the highest median household income. How is that possible? How come they don't complain and feel entitled consistently to beg for reparations and beg for this when they are killing each other 90% of the time, which is the rate that black people kill each other, according to the FBI?
Oh, young Matt.
Yet white people are the oppressors.
So he said a lot there, right? He said a lot there. Okay. So, but before we dive into what he said, let me go back to what you were saying about there's more people, there's more of us than 60,000 in the whole 9 yards, right? And remember when I said earlier, my brother, is that payment don't have to be cash.
Correct.
Right? Okay. So if you remember, and you're a historian, you're a history major, right after the Civil War, we were supposed to get 40 acres and a mule.
Yep.
Right. What happened to that? Nothing. Okay. But my point is, payment could be free health care. Payment could be kids being able to go to school, to college for free. So payment can be a lot of different things versus cash payment. Okay, you see my point here? So there's a million ways that you can come around it and do the right thing. So if education is a big thing, right? Let's be fair. Then guess what? Let's the descendants of slaves, they get to go to college. We pay for their college. Is that bad? No. All right. Or, the descendants of slaves, we're going to pay for that. They'll be able to get free health care. Is that bad? No. So there's a million ways you can do it versus giving somebody a check, 10, 15K, if that makes sense. And then let's dive. Go ahead. Let me hear your thoughts. I want to dive into what my man just got finished saying.
I think that, first of all, my lawyer says never say you sorry or admit any form of guilt because you'll just be sued for more on the back end. So the United States they not stupid. Buddy, if they say that they were wrong, they said gonna be sued.
Wait a minute, stop for a second. They said they were wrong with the Japanese. Did they get sued?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. We're different.
Nobody, stop. Come on, Chris.
Somebody has.
Chris, you're smarter than that, man. You smarter than that. Let me say this.
I have not seen any evidence of the upswell of the Japanese that didn't accept these terms or didn't like these conditions. I believe that if there was a reparation, like you said, if you gave healthcare, somebody else is going to ask for education. If you gave education, somebody else is going to ask for. So it's a situation where it's not as simple as they can offer something and everybody, to a man, woman, and child, is going to be accepting of that. And now you're back in a situation where you're getting the same anxiety or the same rhetoric, even though you tried to do the right thing.
See, buddy, see again, you're going to like what the result will be and what could happen. Some people be mad and some people won't be mad. Some people be satisfied. We're not talking. Her question is, does black people deserve reparations? That was her question. Gotcha. All right. Gotcha. See, and that's where everybody that you hear, they go into all these other things. That's not her question. All right. And so people are trying to solve a Rubik cube. All right. And nobody asked you to turn the cube sideways.
Nobody asked all blue.
They didn't ask all blue. Her question is reparations necessary? Is it not necessary? Is it something that should happen? That's it. Gotcha. Okay, so that's where people see. This is why people go off the rip. Well, if you got to check 50K, what are you talking about? All right, and so here I'm showed you the end result of what happened with the Japanese. Okay, I don't have nothing that said, did they fight? Maybe they did. Was they upset? 20K? Are you kidding me? Maybe they did. maybe there's still some of them mad. We don't know, but it doesn't matter. What matters is that whatever formula they came up with a formula and they stood in front of the country and they did it. Okay? And so we ain't seen that. We didn't forget the reparations part. We haven't even seen the apology
Apology. Yeah, apology.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is where we go off the rails, my brother. Okay, and we got to keep it tight. So this dude, what does he do? He does the same thing. What does he do? Instead of saying, he could have said, "Nah, I don't think we deserve reparations," which you'll see a dude say that. But he says, "No, what is going to do?" He starts going, "Look at the crime that we have." So I mean, and this and that, and then they're killing each other, and this and that, and blah blah blah, and he don't even know what he's talking about, right? And see, here's the thing, bro. Matter of fact, let's bring up something. So for our guests, if you haven't seen our new episode that came out today, Backlash and Breakthrough DEI is my man, Dr. Will Moreland, the #1 leader in leadership training across the globe. My man, he came on and he broke it down. So definitely check out our episode. The thumbnail is DEI is still alive and strong. My man broke it down, right? So check out his episode when you get a chance after you finish watching BEP Live. But I want to play a quick little clip from Dr. Will before I dive into what my man's talking about crime. Okay. And he's talking about, we got too much, 90% of black people killing black people, blah, 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 blah. Let's hear what Dr. Will said when we talked to him specifically about crime.
You do any study about this, crime is all about proximity. You live by white people, you're going to get robbed by white people. You live by Latino people, you're going to get robbed by Latino people.
There's white on white crime, just like there's black on black crime. It's basically who you live with.
Right?
So does that make sense? Chris, does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
So let's dive into the facts. Okay. What's the percentage of white on white? Let's just go with murders. What's the percentage of white on white, of white people murdering white people? What's the percentage? Over the last, I'm going to get, and here's the thing. From 2008 to 2019, FBI statistics. I couldn't get the last because they're not. 2008 to 2019, what's the percentage of white people murdering white people?
It's got to be higher than 88, which was black on black. For the FBI, it's got to be higher than that because of exactly what Dr. Will just stated. Proximity.
So it's not higher. It's 84%. Okay. Black people are 88%. Okay. So, but let's break that out because think about it for a second. It's 84% is, because we're talking. So think about it. If you want to round it off. No, it's not more. It's not about more people. Just forget the last digit of the percentage. Okay. So in other words, 84% is 8 out of 10 people.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And 89% would be 9 out of 10.
Right.
You see my point here?
Right.
But in people's mind, it's disproportionate like this, that black crime is 90%, but white on white crime must be 15. You see my point? And that's the issue. Is because why is that? Why is that? Because Dr. Will talked about imaging. Okay, let's be fair. Do you ever hear the term white on white crime?
No, sir.
You've never, flat out, but you've heard black on black crime.
Yep. Absolutely.
Right? And so at the end of the day, when you keep hearing nothing, so in most people's mind, our own people, they think that black people just killing everybody and no other group, none, whatever the case may be, is doing any crime. Okay? Let me, and again, I want you guys to look this up online. 2019 FBI numbers. Okay. There was 7,000 and something murders. Okay. In 2019. All right. Most people think there was like 100,000. There was 7,600, 7,700, whatever the case may be. Okay. And I think, and you look at the numbers, white people did like 3,600, black people did like 4,200, some stuff like that, whatever the case may be, because you have other groups as well. When it comes to rapes, which is a violent crime, when it comes to rapes, okay, does people know that percentage? They don't. All right. So white people, and I'm just talking about the people that was arrested and convicted. The numbers are like 68% white people do rapes and 20-something% for black people. You don't hear that. When you start looking at all the violent crime, okay, the majority of the percentages are higher from white people than they are black people. Just look it up. Okay. So my point I'm trying to make is our own people. And here's the thing. A lot of times also, we also look at lived experience too. Okay. So if I only live in an area, there's nothing but black people around me. Okay. And then, I see Joe getting hit over the head for his sneakers. And then I see blah, blah, blah over here. Then in my mind, I'm thinking, it's just black people doing crime because I haven't been nowhere else. Okay. And the juxtaposition of that would be if I live in a rural area and on TV, all I saw was Chicago and Baltimore and this and that, I would think that black people are the ones crime all over when there's people in my own town robbing people and doing stuff. You understand my point, buddy? So let me hear your thoughts. I don't want to dominate here, but I just want to talk facts here because these are facts. But when you hear the narrative that's pushed out is always black people are criminals. And that started along. And so at the end of the day, most people don't know that 84%, and look, it's not that white people just want to kill white people and black people just want to kill black people. It's about where you live. If you live in a place that's dominated by one race, then guess what? Most of the crime in that area is going to be done against those people. Okay. And so that's the issue. So white people end up killing more, people who commit murders. Okay. Let's just be fair because I don't want to blanket this, but people commit murders. Most people, the first thing look, buddy, I become a true crime expert, right?
Aficionado.
If the wife comes up dead, who's the first suspect? The husband, flat out. It don't matter what color he is. He's the first suspect, right? The first thing when somebody comes up dead, the first thing they're looking at is family members, somebody close to the victim, okay, that knows them because most crimes are done by people that know that person. Okay. But again, buddy, I'm going too deep in it, but some of these things that people say, they just don't know what they're talking about. But let me hear your thoughts.
So we did a show about not to serve and protect. And we talked about the policing and how that works because the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery, had a rider in it or a caveat that stated you could be treated, let's just say, I'm paraphrasing, you could be treated like a slave if you were a criminal, which incentivized the criminalization of black people or the thought that, hey, they could be criminals. They could be. So this is something that's been embedded in our society or in our thought process for years and years. No dissimilar to how when a serial killing occurred, when the DC with Malvo or whatever, I was stunned that was a brother. Stunned, I tell you.
You're talking about the dude that was shooting, they were shooting people in the car. Yeah.
Because that's a white dude crime. You get what I'm saying? So stereotypes do exist for a multitude of reasons. It's just that this one has lasted for so long that we take it as a truth, even amongst ourselves, unfortunately. We think that we're creating those narratives, or we're perpetuating those narratives.
We're perpetuating those narratives, right? Let's be fair. Where do you live at? You don't live in Dallas. You live outside of Dallas. Prosper, right? Yep. What's the majority makeup of your town?
It's white folks.
Okay, more of that. Okay, but forget the color part. The color part.
Okay.
From a household income perspective.
Oh, yeah. The median income is a little higher. Yeah, the median income is a little safer to raise a family type, the brochure.
So think about it. Do you see it? Is there a lot of murders? No. Is there a lot of crime when people are making money? If you live in a neighborhood where people working, everybody working, and they're making money, right? Is there a lot of crime? Now, there may be people that come into your neighborhood to rob you, right? But at the end of the day, there's not a lot of crime. You'll see more domestic violence, drunk driving. You'll see that type of stuff, right? That's everywhere, right? But at the end of the day, if there's an economic base and people are making money and they're working, there won't be a lot of crime. So again, let's use that juxtaposition again. If there's an area where there's no jobs, okay, the economic, just be fair, right? Wouldn't you see more crime activity in an area where there's not a lot of jobs, there's not a lot of income, there's not this and that? Hold on, you're going to see that. Right? So I'm not making excuses. I'm just giving you, there's a cause and an effect. Okay. Absolutely. And that's just about it. So there's a ton of black people. See here, and then I'm going to move on. There's a ton of black people that live in a lot of other places
I agree with
Okay,
that.
that's not in the city, or what the case may be. Are they robbing people? Are they killing people? Are they doing? That's my point. But again, it gets blanketed that it's all. See, what drives me crazy, man, is that every other group can have a middle class, they can have a good class, and they can have a bad class. Black people, it's always the narrative is like everybody's messed up. we don't have the benefit of saying, you know what? There's a class, there's always going to be a class of people. I don't care where you are, that's going to do the right thing. And there's going to be a class of people that's not all Jewish people, or, they this and that, and they all, do the right thing. No, not all Italian people or Asians or whatever. No, there's Asian gangs, there's all different types. But that don't get labeled when you talk about that when it comes to crime is that, there's good people and there's bad people. But when it comes to black people, you don't get the benefit of the doubt. It's just they all are doing this, right? You see my point here, right? And then so we as our own people, we see the same things and then we start believing it. All right, for various reasons, just environmental, or you want to, drink the Kool-Aid of a narrative, right? And then but other thoughts, buddy?
I'm gonna say, so exposure expands expectation. I lived a situation where we moved to Mississippi. We lived in a neighborhood. It was about 100 homes in the neighborhood. Good price point. But the neighborhood, to our surprise, was 93% black. Like it was all of us. Like we were stuck. Like it was the others that were sprinkled throughout, and they was cool. They smoked and all that other kind of stuff. But like you said, it was quaint. We didn't know that going in because we want life, liberty, property, pursuit of happiness, and so we bought into that, assuming we were going to have to, buy into a situation where it wasn't a lot of diversity or wasn't a lot of us there. And to our surprise, that's exactly what was there. But because of how we were raised and what we had been exposed to up until that point, we didn't realize there were, like you said, there are neighborhoods where all types of people thrive. There's Jewish neighborhoods, Italian neighborhoods, where if you're trying to do the right thing, there's an allowance for you to do so. But unfortunately, because of poverty and because of many different things that create systemic issues, everybody can't put themselves in those situations. And those people are used as the example for everyone else. They're taking the small sample size and spreading it, peanut butter, spreading it over everybody else.
Buddy, and it's so true, right? And here's the thing, man. And I wish people would, and again, it's not everybody, right? Let's just be fair. There's people of all colors give every group a benefit of it, give groups a benefit. There's a small narrative on both sides that do that, right? But here's the thing. When we were in Martha's Vineyard, man, and that's one of the beauties of going there, right? And you see all these, people of color, all black people coming to the island, all right? They're not, bringing band, they don't just play banjos, and you got investors, you got entrepreneurs, you got SVP, you got all different level of people doing a million of great things, right? But at the end of the day, you don't hear about that. Okay, you hear about the black on black crime, and we're killing ourselves, and we don't this and we don't that, and so at the end of the day, a lot of times what happens is that our black people have, unfortunately, sometimes when you like I said, environmental, economic issues can keep you into one area, and you don't get a chance to see because it ain't gonna be on TV. Okay, let's be fair, right? You might see one doctor, you had the Cosby Show, you might see it, but a group of black people, all right, that's really thriving, doing well, highly educated, big money, go on. A lot of these people ain't been around a lot of those people, right? So in their mind, that doesn't exist, right? So all they know is, or all they see, or all they listen to, or believe the narrative that this group only does this, all right? And so that's the thing that drives me crazy. But here, real quick, I want to play what Sal put this up. He said, instead of monetary reparations, the government can do investments in black community, educational, economic reforms, criminal justice reform, restorative justice program. There's a million ways. This is a great point, Sal. This is a million ways, right? And to be able to do it, right? But it's not about what they do, it's that it deserves to be done. Okay? And so that's really key.
I think they would push back and say those things are already being done. Your congressman that you write would say, we have all of that. Now what?
Yeah, and so what that means? So he says that. So that doesn't mean he's right? So look again, though, we're getting caught up in what the effect may be, right? Let's don't go by the effect, okay?
Right.
All right, so let's keep going, though. I want to play this one because this my man here just had me. I was just. Hold on.
The thing with the whole reparations thing, and I don't know, we're probably close to the same age, so maybe you can't call. It's the liberal position because conservatives believe in hard work. We believe in going to work and working for what you got, not asking for handouts from people who never had slaves. Some of the people that you're asking for money from never had slaves. And let's talk about the fact there were also black people that had slaves. So if you want to talk about that, how is that fair if I'm a white person and my family fall on the side of the Union? Why should I have to pay for slaves when this whole country was never all racist? Some of the founding fathers were abolitionists, and they hated slavery. And they actually put things in the Declaration of Independence and things too, because they believed that there would be a future where there would be a black president one day, or that there would be people in leadership that were black. There was people in the North who helped with the Underground Railroad and fought with the Union. So why is that fair for people who never had slaves, who fought against slavery, to have to pay for people that had slaves? Well, our ancestors wasn't asking for handouts. They were asking for equal opportunity. And we have equal opportunity in this country. We had a black president, just in case you didn't know. We had a black president and we had a black vice president. I think she was black. They said she was black. I don't know. What's making America so racist is people that continue to talk about racism and continue to focus on racism instead of focusing on unity and bringing our country forward. People that have these liberal mindset are infecting our communities, black people, and making us victims and not victors. I refuse to embrace a victim mentality because that's not what our grandparents and Harriet Tubman and those people fall for.
People who benefit from white supremacy. One of the things
it's a lie. White supremacy is a lie.
No, sir,
it's
that's simply not true. If that were not the case, then we wouldn't see the continued effort of colonialism and white people placing themselves in positions of power when they do not have the power.
Because their culture, black culture, is toxic. The black culture is toxic. We have produced a culture that is toxic. And let's get on the fact that there's no fathers in the black home. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that.
Stop.
Let's talk about that.
None of this is gonna work if y'all are just gonna sit here and make up shit.
So, bro, I'm gonna let you go first because I dominated the last segment. Let me hear your thoughts.
No, so it's not gonna be plentiful.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff he said. Okay,
he was passionately incorrect about a lot of things. Obviously, calling something black culture and then putting it in that frame is inappropriate. Okay, so that's cool. I just don't like that he feels like something was done. He's trying to absolve what was done and say, just get over it and move. He really sounds like a supremacist. He really like, get over it. That's old stuff. Why are you bringing up this old stuff? You're bringing the mood down, fam. Like you're bringing the mood. You bringing up these facts that occurred is bringing the mood down. But he did say something that made me think about the fact that we were talking about the Japanese getting reparations and the idea of the apology, the idea of just calling it what it was and then saying, hey, the government, because here's the situation. He's making it seem like why should certain white people pay for this out of their tax, like tax dollars is white and black tax. They don't separate tax dollars like that, fam. It's United States citizens tax dollars, and the United States apologized to Japan or the Japanese individuals. The United States gave them the reparations. The United States collectively and as a whole, it wasn't white people feel bad that they got to put in on it and this and that. No, dog, this is the silliest shit. Like, he made it seem like look, like there's a mark on your W-2 that says you will be paying these people, but it's not gonna come out of my check. Like, I'm not gonna get a percentage out of my check when it comes to. It's just even in the concept that he had in his head that, hey, these people can't be proven to be lined or connected with bad guys, so therefore the United States wasn't a bad guy. Silliest thing, but that's it. That's what I got, Tony. That's what I got.
Yeah, so it was funny, buddy. So here's the thing. He said a lot of stuff, right? And unfortunately, we could do a whole episode just on what he said.
Man,
okay,
absolutely.
So let's back up a second. So he said, that all white people didn't have anything to do with slavery, but he's fair. Yeah, he's fair, right? That's fair, right? And so why would they have to? And to your point, this is how ignorant he is. It's like the money's coming out of their pocket. Like, to your point, right? They're gonna get docked.
Like it's child support.
Yeah.
Like
they're gonna get docked.
Like they garnished.
Right. They're gonna get garnished. They're gonna get. Here, you got to give me your slavery money this week, man. I paid it. I paid 2 weeks. You doubling my pay. What's going on with that? You know what I'm saying? So it's just the most dumb. It's dumb. So let's just go through the facts, though, bro. Okay. So let's listen. Okay. All white people did not own slaves. All right. And yes, slave holding was concentrated around the wealthiest families, particularly in the South. But it wasn't just an individual system. It was an economic engine and a societal structure that elevated all white people relative to black people. Let's look at the economic benefits. Cheap labor fueled national wealth. Cotton, sugar, tobacco. These industries built the U.S. economy and global trade. Banks, insurers, shippers, northern textile mills, international markets all profited. Even whites who weren't planners could get jobs in these industries or benefit from the circulation of wealth. Land and job access. Enslaved labor meant white workers faced less competition in many jobs and had exclusive access to land ownership. Slavery kept black people at the bottom of the economic ladder, clearing more room for whites above them. Social benefits. Whiteness as a social capital. Poor whites may not have wealth, but they had the privilege of not being enslaved. Laws and cultural norms reinforce a racial hierarchy where at least your white was a psychological and social buffer. Legal protections and mobility. Even immigrant groups like Irish or Italians eventually accessed the advantages of whiteness, which translated into better schools, neighborhoods, jobs, and political voice over generations. Political benefits. The infamous 3-5 Compromise boosted the southern states' political power, giving all white citizens more congressional influence, even those who never owned a slave. Systemic head start. From land grants to voting rights, the system was designed for whites. Enslavement meant black Americans were excluded from wealth building, making every white person's relative position stronger. So what is, you see my point here, buddy? So it has nothing to do with that. Oh, they didn't own some slaves, so they should. So number one, he was just makes no sense. Number two, he talked about, and look, he said 1,000 things, but I want to get my boy Dr. Will back in here because he talked about, he said systemic racism is a lie. There's no such thing as systemic racism, right? So when we say systemic racism, what do you equate systemic racism to be?
Oh, to the system being set up to create an advantage over another section of population that's easily identifiable in our case, to where you redlining, we did a show on digital redlining. It creates a dynamic where you, based on the hue of your skin, are not going to get the same opportunities, advantages, or inalienable rights that you should as an American citizen.
Exactly, right? And wouldn't voting be one of those things as well?
And do indeed. Yes,
right.
Sir.
And for years, we couldn't, they wouldn't let black, especially in the South, couldn't vote. Tar and feather them if they tried, whatever the case may be. Right. So voting has a major impact in terms of being able to be a citizen. Right. And being able to have a political voice. Right. Blah, blah,
Absolutely.
blah.
Policy creation.
Right.
Absolutely.
So let's see what Dr. Will says about that.
You can figure out where the competition is or where the issue is by what they try to keep you from. If voting wasn't important, they wouldn't try to keep you from voting. So that has to let you know, wait a minute, because we have people in our, oh man, voting don't mean nothing. And if it don't mean nothing, why would they try to keep you from it? Whatever they're trying to block, that's what you need to pay attention to. Whatever they're trying to block, that's what you need to pay attention to. If they say, no, we don't want you to vote, we're going to make it, you're going to have a passport, 2 ID.
But his point is, hey, look, think about it for a second. So there's no systemic racism to what old dude said. But like Dr. Will was saying here, think about all the times they tried to stop you from voting. Okay. And all the citizen test and regurgitating, drawing up like they're doing now in Texas, where now they're redefining the districting map so they could have more political power. But there's no systemic racism. And with that, look, bro, that's just one thing we're talking about, right? And then so this dude, and then why is it that conservatives are only about working hard and we not want handout? What is this dude? And again, bro, these are things that people throw out. They have no clue. And I one of the things that, and again, I don't know the brother. I don't know what his background is. I don't know how he makes money or whatever the case may be. But unfortunately, I would say this, and we kind of teed it up in the beginning. It's like, what was that? Remember Jerry Springer and shit? Remember that show? Jerry Springer, right? Absolutely. Right. And so here's the thing though, bro. If you're going to be on some of these shows, have your stuff together before you get on, right? Because what this is going to do, now my man is a caricature, right? It's because he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. And a lot of it is stuff that he's regurgitating, okay? That at the end of the day, to your point, what was remember my man? What's my man? You just said his name, the comedian. Remember when he was the Klansman? Dave Chappelle. Yeah. Remember he was the Klansman. Yeah, no,
the black white supremacist.
He didn't know he was black.
Yep.
Right, so that's how my man sounds, right? But but listen, I don't want to make fun. Look, the key is this, and we got to get out of here in a minute. But the bottom line is that at the end of the day, Black people are not a monolith. So so number one, if you don't get anything out of this, you at least should be able to check. You can at least now walk away and say, wow, I didn't, you know what? You're right. Black people aren't a monolith, right? And they come in all shapes and all sizes, just like every other group. And here's the other thing. Everybody has a right to their opinion. Okay. So, which is fine. But there's an old, what was that saying? Don't open up your mouth and let people know you a fool. Or so, I forget how it goes.
It's better to be considered a fool than open your mouth and remove all doubt.
Exactly. Right. Right. Now, are there issues in the Black community? Absolutely. Are there, as in every, thank you, buddy. Thank you. Right. So, and we're sparse in numbers, 84% and 89% on black, white on white crime. I wish it was 20%. I wish it was 0. Okay. So yeah, there's definitely some things that we need to do in our communities. Okay. Nobody's disagreeing. Nobody's trying to, at least we don't, right? We don't try to make excuses for it. Right. But at the end of the day, to make blanket statements and to your point, act like we're the only group that has issues and everybody else doesn't. That's where I take offense to.
Absolutely. And I think that's the thing where, one of the things is we act as if there's a embedded kinship or responsibility that we have. Now, I'm big on heritage and I'm big on understanding, but at the same point in time, I can't give you more opportunity to impede on my growth than I would any other race of person. If everybody that I'm around are people who can lift me up and make me feel better and safer and more comfortable in this world. Some of those people are Black. A lot of them are because of, just proximity and how I was raised and where I live. Some of those folks is white. Some of them are Asian. It's the content of your character type situation. But you have to be able to understand you trying to make a determination or cast a culture or because he said something about black homes and black, like, man,
no,
you
there's
make everything
no,
black.
buddy. There's no black father. There's no black fathers. Okay, so let's be. And I wish my girl in the singer was on. And matter of fact, we did an episode. And so, guys, do me a favor. Go look at the Pew Research that came out last year, breaking down the black population. Okay. And when you look at those stats, you will see the percentages of families that have black fathers in it. And I'll be honest with you, when you see the number, because I did it. I talked about it last year in an episode when we did a conversation on race with Michelle Norris's book, okay? And we went through those numbers. So take a look at the numbers, all right? But now, should there be a father in every home? Absolutely. Is it men walk out on women? Absolutely. But white men do that too. Hispanic men do that too. All right. And so just to say black men, so I got friends. Let me ask you a question, bro. You with your kids?
Right.
You with your, I'm with mine. I got friends of mine, their fathers in their neighborhood. I mean, their fathers to their children. So just say there's no black father. See, this is what I'm saying. These blanket statements. And then to your point, when we kicked this episode off, you said one of the fears is somebody hears it and they're like, oh, see, they said it too. So they confirmed it.
And they know better than I. Absolutely.
And then they'll play that forever. His stuff might be on Fox News tomorrow. If it hasn't been on already, right? So these are the things, though, bro. So look, if you want to have a dialogue, if you want to disagree how we should live in our communities, how we should be politically, if you disagree with certain things, I'm all for that. I don't think nobody believes they got the right way in everything. That's what dialogue is about. And there'll be things that I would agree with, and there'll be things I disagree with, and vice versa. But to sit on and just to down your own people, that's where I get an issue, because there's a ton of people, black women, men, that's out there doing stuff as making this world turn, that's contributing to the United States on a daily basis, that's driving economic wealth, that's solving problems, it was a sister that came up with the vaccine for COVID. So just to sit back and just say black people ain't doing nothing, it's just the most erroneous, irresponsible, ignorant thing that you can say. Okay, and again, this is me saying that. And if somebody wants to come on and they want to debate us on this, I'm looking in the screen right now. Come on. We love to have you on. I love to hear your point of view. All right. But at the end of the day, for somebody to blanket it across and just say our community is this and we don't do this and there's not this and there's not that, that's where I have an issue. Final thoughts, my brother.
Final thought for sure. I think that you really anchored it in the idea of, do we deserve reparations? Period. The answer is yes. And the reason why is because when you look at segments of the population or segments of communities, we are the furthest behind. Because if you look at the Irish and the Italians, when they first came, they weren't considered white folks, right? And then they assimilated and then they were able to catch up. If you look at the Asians, Chinese Americans didn't get, and I think it was said in that
it was right.
that they've made strides and they have a great situation where they're on a playing field that's closer than where we are as it relates to the majority of the population. The reason why these reparations, even if it's just an acknowledgement, would be important to us is because we've been left behind from a holistic perspective on so many things on purpose. And that's the toughest part, is that it's not that we're not hardworking, because he said something about we hardworking, bootstrap type, blah, blah, blah. It's not that all black folks is lazy. It's not that all Hispanic folks is working hard and they'll die out in the field. That stuff is just stupid. And that stuff that they put in front of you to make you want to believe that. There are, like you said, black women have more degrees than anybody else per capita. But the fact is they don't have as many opportunities as anybody else per degree.
Thank you.
So those are the things where we'd like to have some of the gap closed so we can see the fruits of our labor. You want to not only work hard for what you get, but get everything you work for. And unfortunately, we're working hard for what we get, but not getting everything we work for vis-a-vis how it looks. And that's the problem. And that's why reparations would be advised by me. But obviously, I'm willing to hear the other side of that coin.
Well, here's the thing. And then we got to close out, right? Let's be fair here, because I just want to be clear. And again, bro, you tell me if I'm wrong. Because look, I'm not everywhere. I have been. God, thank you. I've been blessed. I've been in 46 out of 50 states. I didn't fly over them. I've physically been in them. Okay. I've met people all over. Okay. All over. I've been to Europe. I went to Korea. So I've met people. So here's the thing. What black people are waiting for reparations? Please, where are they at? Where are they at? What person? Hey, man, buddy, what are you doing? Buddy, you want to go to the concert next week? Nah, man, I'm waiting on my check.
Yeah, let me check the mail, cuz.
You know what? Hey, bro, hey, they got a new job over there next week. You want to check? Nah, buddy, they're going to be giving me a reparation. As soon as I get that reparation check, bro, I'm going to be good. Who's doing that? Nobody's doing that, right? So so these things that come up, man, it just drives me crazy. But look, net, and Jason, thank you, buddy. You're 100% right. Let's put Jason's things up because this is something, and we all got to be careful with this, right? Blanket statements are so idiotic. Even worse is people who use statements as a talking point. Exactly. There's when people say all people are this and all, it's no such thing because all people are not. Okay. And let's be fair. We all do it, to be fair. And we got to stop and we got to look at people as individuals. Now, if you want to say this dude's a bum or this woman, okay, maybe they are. But to say that every group or this person or it's just, you lose me right off the bat when you do that. Right. But more importantly, I hope we didn't lose you today. And we appreciate you joining BEP Live, where we talked about Black radical versus 20 conservatives, and we gave you our points of view. And obviously, we could keep talking about this because, but it doesn't matter. And so more importantly, we want to make sure that you check out, BEP. We have like 3 distinct shows that we put out all the time. So, Need to Know by Dr. Nasinga Burton. Dr. Burton comes on every Thursday on a Black Executive Perspective podcast. She talks about the critical things that's happening in the world that you don't have time to sit back and wait on. So she keeps you updated on what's going on. So check out Need to Know by Dr. Nasinga Burton every Thursday here on a Black Executive Perspective podcast.
And what I would implore you to check out is Pull Up, Speak Up. This is a dynamic where we have a round table of panelists that come in and give diverse perspectives. It's not a situation where it's one on whatever, but it's a situation where these folks who don't know each other, who have very distinct backgrounds and perspectives on things, sit down and have gentlemanly conversations, civil, understood, passionate, hard-hitting topics where we break these things down, simple topics, and we go in deep. And it's a fun ride. You absolutely want to check it out. You want to tune in and join the revolution when you can.
Definitely join the revolution. My girl Tiffany, she's been on a Pull Up, Speak Up, and was she gentleman? I think
she was the gentlest voice there.
She was the gentlest voice. I think Cynthia and Gail would. I think they. I don't know if they would have been on that gentle side, but they were definitely informed.
Yeah,
they wasn't throwing nothing out there that was ignorant that they didn't know about. They threw facts out, right?
Absolutely. It comes from the quote, "We can handle this like gentlemen, or we can get gangster." We can get gangster. So
exactly.
The last thing we want to always remind you to do is our call to action, and we want you to incorporate LESS. Our goal here, and this is what we're always trying to accomplish on every platform, eliminate all forms of discrimination. And to achieve this, we ask for you to embrace LESS, LESS. The L stands for learn. Educate yourself. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to Tony. Educate yourself wherever possible on racial and cultural and historical nuances. So therefore, you can speak and live from a place of knowledge and understanding.
Absolutely. And then after you learn, you have the letter E, which stands for empathy. Now, since you've learned about other racial groups and other nuances and what other people go through, now you can be more empathetic to them because you can put yourself in their shoes.
And then the first S is for share. Share your insights, enlighten others, spread the good information. Don't hide it, divide it.
And absolutely, right? And then the final S is stop. We want, you want, we all want to stop all forms of discrimination as it walks in our paths. So if Aunt Jenny or Uncle Joe says something that's inappropriate at the Sunday dinner table, instead of sitting back laughing or being quiet or don't say, you say, Aunt Jenny, Uncle Joe, we don't believe that. We don't say that. And you stop it right there. So if everyone can incorporate less, LESS will build a more fair, more understanding world. And guess what? We all will see the change that we want to see because less will become more.
We appreciate you for tuning into this live episode and contributing to this live episode, either with your ears or with your fingers. We love you being here and appreciate that so much. We want you to go to the website, sign up for the newsletter. You can give us topics that you'd like to hear about. Make sure that you review it, subscribe wherever you're listening, and where can they find us besides here, Tony?
My friend, if they can find a Black Executive Perspective podcast here, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, and follow us on our socials. We have stuff going on LinkedIn, X, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram at A Black Exec. For my fabulous co-host, my man, the co-host with the most, my boy down in Dallas, Chris B. Reed, I'm Tony Tidbit. We talked about it. You guys heard us laugh about it. We thought about it. We're going to keep striving and thriving about it. We love you. And guess what? We're out.
A Black Executive Perspective.